All right, we are back with another episode of Shoot the J. As always, we start off with my brother Don Jackson to the left, brother Tyrone Jackson, and as is customary, what are you drinking?
Little hot coffee in the duck cup this morning, gentlemen.
All right.
Little hot, nothing like a little hot coffee. You understand?
A little Dasani water, bruh.
Ah,
H2O.
well, as the record always shows, I'm the only alcoholic, so I got a little Prosecco early this morning.
Get the fancy stuff.
Yeah, just take the edge off the morning when you get up.
This dude gonna have a diabetes right first thing this morning with the
That put the edge back on in the morning if I was a drinker.
Oh, you that type of drunk, huh? You get mad, start kicking things around, huh?
Now I get right back in the bed. That's what happened if I
The edge of the bed, huh? That's the edge.
right.
Well, guys, let's talk about the first thing we wanted to talk about this morning. Ryan Garcia has a gutsy win over Luke Campbell. Comes back and after being knocked down, comes back in the seventh round, I believe, and finishes Luke Campbell. And now he's calling out Gervonta Davis. What are your thoughts on his fight with Luke Campbell? And do you think he's ready to fight that killer Gervonta Davis?
I'm gonna let Ty jump in there first.
Well, first of all, when we talked about Ryan Garcia before, I said that he keeps his head up too high. He's got a lot of offense. He got exposed. When you let little Luke Campbell get you, and he's not known for his power, Luke Campbell, right? Even though he's a proven fighter, he's at that weight, he is not a knockout artist. Now, you juxtapose that to Gervonta Davis, who's got power in both hands and is a knockout artist, right? I think he has 24 fights and 23 knockouts. Is that correct?
Something like that.
So do you want to expose yourself to somebody like that? And if Ryan Garcia says he has a plan of trying to knock him out in the second round, the second minute, that's not the best plan. You know, you better use your reach. Like, what's his name that he was fighting? Was starting off using his reach and let that bravado come in there and get him knocked out. Santa Cruz, right? So that's my take on it. I think he's just doing it for the money. But I am happy, though, that these cats are willing to put their record up. I think COVID has a lot to do with it. They try to make as much money as they can because ordinarily you wouldn't see this matchup until we don't want to see it, until they're too old. So I'm glad that it is going to happen if it does happen because I'm tired of these guys trying to protect that O on the right side of the box.
Don?
I agree with Ty in the fact that, it's amazing, probably because of COVID, we're now seeing some of these bouts we've been hoping for, until people become old men and gray in their beard like me and us, actually to orchestrate some of these bouts. I'm wondering if this is a publicity stunt because as we see, the more pressure you try to put on Gervonta Davis, the tougher the fight gets for the person that's pushing the action or trying to be more aggressive, because Gervonta Davis really has good angles and he has power in both hands. So that's when he becomes very dangerous. Ryan Garcia, like Tyrone said, to his point, would do better to work outside in and not try and get into a brawl or a quick knockout. The only thing that Ryan has that I think that can help him with Davis is his speed and his and he does have some power, but he is susceptible, as we saw against Luke Campbell, to a flash knockdown, which doesn't bode well for him against Gervonta Davis, who has lightning quick speed and powerful hands. So, this is going to actually be a tactical bout if Garcia decides to box him. But if he tries to brawl with Davis, he's going to be in trouble. So my money is on Davis on this fight.
I agree with Don for the most part. I think, and I agree with you too, Tyrone. We talked about this at length about, his Instagram videos of him with the quick combinations and looking beautiful on camera and stuff like that, but with that chin tipped up really, really high in the air, okay, which is very bad for boxing. But I think Luke Campbell was able to capitalize off because Campbell was just as tall as he is. He's 5'11", Campbell's 5'11", and Gervonta Davis is like 5'3". Okay, so yeah, he's got the bad technique if you can capitalize it. But then again, Gervonta Davis showed us also that he, as Don said, he can take the angle like he did on Santa Cruz and get you out of there if you have bad technique. And just like we talked about, he stood in the pocket too long. Santa Cruz stood in the pocket too long, and he got exploited. So I mean, to me, I don't think Davis has fought anybody like Garcia, who's a bit of a technician, who's got really, good speed and great power himself. Also, to drop a lightweight with a body shot is really, really impressive. But that, like Tyrone said, the bravado get you standing there a little too long, especially if you're talking about you're gonna knock somebody out in 2 rounds. Somebody like Gervonta Davis, I don't know if that's the strategy. So, I mean, it should be an interesting fight. I really can't pick it. I mean, if I had to lean, I got to go Gervonta Davis because he's wilder in that sense where you always side with the guy who can end the fight at any moment. You know, Ryan Garcia, you feel like he can break you down and get you with accumulation of punches and get you out of there. But Gervonta Davis, you blink your eye, he can get you out of there with one punch and get you out of there. So I always kind of lean towards that guy.
Let me add something real quick, and I'm going to let Ty get in there. Luke Campbell was not a chump. He had 19 knockouts on his dossier. So you're talking about somebody that had power and skill. So Ryan Garcia did prove himself against, pretty good talent. He just wasn't on the names, in my opinion, of Davis. And Leo Santa Cruz is a heck of a boxer with a heck of a chin. So that was a great test for Davis, because he had to navigate those long arms and those tough jabs and combinations that Santa Cruz likes to throw. So that was a good test for Davis to see if he could withstand a taller boxer who is savvy. And, as we know, some of our Mexican fighters and Latino fighters have tough chins. So they're not just the easiest guys to knock out. They can take a lot of punishment.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with that too. But styles make fights, and I think if you watch the feet of Garcia, he's kind of like a Canelo Alvarez kind of clone. And Alvarez doesn't move his feet a lot. He's got a squared up, flat-footed approach, which could generate a lot of power. But in a situation for Gervonta Davis, you want to try to get him moving where he can expend a lot of that power. So you really should test Gervonta's conditioning. Right. And I don't think that Garcia has the footwork to do it because he's very flat-footed. He really throws with extreme power, but that can get you in a bad situation, especially if your chin is up. And I can't see him changing his spots for this fight unless he's just a mastermind, just setting Gervonta Davis up to say, hey, I'm going to knock you out in the second round, second minute, and then he gets him to try to become something that he's not. Gervonta Davis is going to get you in the early rounds, so you shouldn't make him try to come at you like that, But I think it all comes down to your feet. And a lot of people don't place a premium on footwork when it comes to boxing because they think about your hands. But your feet has a lot to do with it. And if you play into my hands, and I'm a shorter guy, and I'm a strong guy, I have a strong center of gravity, the best thing I want you to do is stand in front of me and not move, especially if you're a taller fighter. And by the way, Dave, they have Gervonta Davis listed at 5'5", not 5'3".
Oh, the devil is a lie. That boy is 5'5". That little hobbit.
But yeah, if a tall person were to fight me, I'd have my most problem if they keep moving and keep me at bay. And if their feet is moving, if I can get them to be stagnant, I got them.
Right.
I got to, because I got all kind of moves to sneak in and get in and duck and dive. If you can't move your feet, I can get to you anytime I want to. I can get around those long arms. But if a person boxes like Ali did, on his feet moving, that's a terror for somebody who's short, And that's, I don't think that Garcia could do that in the amount of time they would have to fight. I don't know. Reynoso is his trainer, right? And I never seen him change up Canelo's style. So,
those are really good points. I mean, just like you said, footwork is going to be key. If you're going to plant and stand in front of him, that's a problem. And as you said, also, if you can walk somebody around the ring and walk him into punches like guys with good feet do, it's going to be a long, long night. But Garcia hasn't proven that he can do that, nor willing to do that. I mean, as they say, youth is wasted on the young. He's 22 or something like that, 21, 22 years old. And he just wants to go in there and just demolish everybody that he's facing. So I mean, good luck to you, my man, if you're gonna go there with that against Gervonta Davis. But I haven't seen any of his fights where now does that mean he can't backpedal and fight off the toes? I don't know. You know, Don and I, we had that conversation in the past on a long car ride from Shreveport one time when we were talking about Jill Scott. To bring into a weird analogy into this, can she sing a soft ballad? Or does she not? Or does she hasn't done it, but can she do it? Because the argument was she can't sing a ballad. Not Jill Scott. Who was it, Don? Who was the singer? Powerhouse Jennifer Hudson.
Jennifer Hudson.
Can she sing a soft ballad, or does she choose not to? Everything we've seen is that she sings these power songs, and blast you out the doors. But does that mean she can't do it? And that's the same thing with Ryan Garcia. Can he fight off the back foot? Can he fight off the balls of his feet and circle somebody around and just move him into punches? We don't know. We haven't. The evidence says we haven't seen it, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. So footwork is very, very important in fight. That's a very, very good point. But we'll see what happens if they make the fight. But do love his mettle from coming back from a bad knockdown in the second round. I mean, he fell backwards on his arm with his arm behind him.
And the shot that he hit Luke Campbell with before the body blow, where the bell saved him. Ooh, I didn't think Luke Campbell was going. He stumbled into that bell. He's bling bling,
and turned his back on Ryan Garcia, which is
technically
turned him around with that hit.
Yeah, that was the one. Then the body shot, I was like, whoa! But if there ever was a show called Save the Bell, that's the one right there.
Saved by the Bell.
It wasn't Mario Lopez. It wasn't
Mario Lopez.
It wasn't hacking him. That's like a Luke Campbell was saved by the bell. Guys, let's switch gears. It's a lot going on today. It's not just about sports. As we talk about some of the riots that took place in the Capitol today. Some could call it riots. Some could call it insurrection. Some could call it treason. Just want to circle back and think about the vehement attitudes that people had when Colin Kaepernick took a knee, okay? And how people in the sports world were vilified for taking a knee during the national anthem, saying this is not an acceptable form of protest. But now it seems like the audience who was in love with the anthem, who was so patriotic, is strangely silent today when thousands of armed people try to take over the Capitol this past week. And the juxtaposition of a guy silently taking a knee saying how un-American that is to people now being absolutely silent and armed people actually trying to take over the government. What are your thoughts on the silence of the average American or average conservative American today after the riots that took place in D.C., and contrast that with Colin Kaepernick silently taking a knee saying that's not an acceptable form of protest?
Let me start because I know Don has a lot to add to it, and I just have one thing to say. A lot of them are not silent. They are putting their eggs in a basket of this is what happens when you ignore and what Americans been talking about for the longest time, how we're going to socialism. Now, I'm not going to even touch any of that. The only thing I'm going to say is this. When do you fear for your life?
Okay.
And you're going to fear for your life from a kid who has Skittles and an Arizona iced tea. You're going to fear for your life from a guy who lets you know he has a registered gun in his car. You're going to fear from your life from a kid playing at a park with a toy gun. But you know, if a guy knocked on your door with a buffalo helmet on and no shirt and paint, knocked on your door and said, hey, can I come in? You wouldn't fear for your life then? A guy with a buffalo helmet on and no shirt in cold weather? You don't think anything's wrong with that? But you see a kid, a friend of mine, I must say loosely a friend of mine, said that Trayvon Martin had 2 of the 3 ingredients to make meth. I told Dave this, and Dave was like, if that's the case, then I got ingredients for drugs too. Look, if I had a carton of baking soda, am I a crack dealer? Because all I need to do is mix it with cocaine, right? So that doesn't make me, why are you fearing for your life when it comes to me? And America has to have a reckoning with the way they treat African Americans and white people. I would rather you just come out and say it. I'd rather would you come out and say the truth. Well, you know, we treat white people different. We treat black people. But of course, black people, like Jimmy Butler says, always knew that there's two different Americas. I just want y'all to come out and say it. That's all.
Don, well said.
I mean, you know, Ty brings up the points we all knew growing up. It was ingrained in us by our family and our parents about who America really is. We never had this kind of false understanding of what America was. I wasn't shocked. Again, I was not shocked by these Trump supporters storming the Capitol and trying to make a statement by interrupting a vote for a madman who we've known has gotten out of control over the course of 8 years. He didn't just start becoming out of control. He's been out of control. He's been able to, and I say 8 because 4 years, before years before his presidency, he's the racist of this man, president of the United States, Barack Obama at the time. It might have been 8 years before the 4 that he started that with Obama, really trying to chide Obama about him not being born in America. Those are racist comments. You say somebody is not truly an American or they're Muslim just because their name sounds Muslim. You know, these are the two Americas we've been living with all of our life. You know, a lot of people feel like, oh, those poor inner city youth, they're in danger. They're not being educated. You have a segment of America that's not educated as well. Conservative America, and they have not been forced to learn about the proper history that we know of all our lives growing up. What was the African American slave trade? How did slaves get to this side of the world and to America? What was all involved in the politics at that time? How are we living through all the phases of the Civil War, Jim Crow, Civil Rights era, and still not really getting the freedoms because they're all being taken away from us. Even when legislation is being passed, they're finding new ways to legislate slavery through prison systems, through housing ordinances and legislation. So we've always known that America was against us. The world is just now again opening their eyes to the brutality we faced our whole lives, the inequities we faced our whole lives. So this is not nothing new. The problem for me at this is, when will our people, all Americans, wake up and face the hypocrisy that's called America and call the truth, set it out and say the truth. You know, they're able to live behind lies and orchestrate their lives behind these lies so much that they have now believed them. And I think that's what sickens us to the core. Because we can't hide behind a lie. We're faced with our presence every day.
Guys, to me, the hypocrisy is blinding. When you tell a guy who silently takes a knee under the direction of Army veterans saying your protest before was actually disrespectful of sitting down when the national anthem is being played, to the point where on the day that the presidential vote is supposed to be validated, a mere formality by Congress, on the day that the Trump rally that is entitled Stop the Steal takes place, on the day that his personal lawyer says it's time, now we've exhausted all our legal avenues, it's time for trial by combat, on the day that Donald Trump Jr. says all you senators who have not supported us, you will find out in a few minutes what's going to happen. On that day when they stormed the Capitol with heavy riot gear, with machine guns, not machine guns, but semi-automatic weapons with body armor. One woman was in the crowd who had onions, knowing that she was going to get tear gas, so that she could move some of the, tear gas, remove some of the tear gas and mace effect from her face. On a day where this is premeditated assault on America, and you're eerily silent today about what being an American is. Whereas for 4 years, as Tyrone and I have talked about, you have a perception that something is being taken away from you. That if another party gets in, that they're going to take something from you. And it's disrespectful for a black man to kneel, but it's respectful for you to storm the Capitol. One guy I saw this morning had zip ties like he was going to take prisoners, and they were actively asking for Nancy Pelosi. Okay, which most of these ignorant people is probably the only congressperson that they know is by the name, because they have so many memes and so much misinformation out there that Pelosi, Schumer is probably the only two people they know. They probably don't even know their home congressperson. And on a day like that, you're silent, where black players were called son of a bees, and guys lost livelihoods like Eric Reed for 2 or more years, okay, for their stance. And the Bennett brothers, Marcellus Bennett and Cornelius Bennett, they decided to walk out of the league. They were still in their prime playing good ball and decided they didn't want any more of it. And it's embarrassing. And what I'd like to say is, as Don said, we've already known this America exists. This is the way we have to navigate the world every day, knowing that we can't get mouthy with a police officer. We can't try to steal a white woman's cell phone saying that it's ours. We can't cause a ruckus in a hotel room. We've grown up, we've survived to this age knowing that. But what I'm praying for, what I'm hoping for is this is an enlightening moment for America. Not for us. We already know, or he says the grown man knows the world that he lives in, that you will wake up. Civil rights has never been progress for black people. We always knew we were equal. We always knew we had the moral high ground. It's been progress for white people is what civil rights is. It's not progress for us. It's progress for you to realize we are human. I recognize other people as human beings. It's not our progress. So let's hope this past week is going to be progress for you again as you realize that there are 2 different Americas.
Shout out to the NBA for giving voice to coaches and Doc Rivers and Popovich and Steve Kerr. And we're definitely need the white voice to get out here about the hypocrisy and about the racism that does exist, and for the NBA to allow people like LeBron James, who does so much for so many people and so many kids and uplifting them, that he's still vilified by other people. But yet the NBA is really Adam Silver has really gone above and beyond to make the platform be more than just shut up and play basketball.
And the WNBA for their activism. I mean, so many of those players got involved in the Georgia election and raised.
Even though their boss was Kelly Loeffler.
Right. Even though their boss was Kelly Loeffler. So that took a lot of heart and a lot of courage to stand up.
Yeah. We
want a difference, and we want to influence the vote so that it can cause and create change. And like David said, you're looking at a time now where if we're going to stand united, we all must come together. And you can't just continue to ask black people and people of color to keep shouldering the burden of bringing this country together. We need white America to step up. We need white America to call out ignorance in all forms from their countrymen and say, this is not right. And we have to do better and educate them because they're uneducated. Let's just be real. That's ignorant parts of the society that have been exposed and been used as a tool of Donald Trump and his supporters. They don't know they're being used, but they're downright being used. They have no evidence to support any of their claims. They're baseless, they're false. So even the NBC News leads off with current president falsely claims the election was stolen. When have you ever heard that headline? I think I was having that conversation with Tyrone about I've never heard a headline in my life where the standing president was called a liar on national television. That's what it is.
Right.
Basically what it is. You're saying he's lying, he's falsely accusing that a democratic process was what you call that when it was not infiltrated but fraudulent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all right if it's Idi Amin or one of those kind of governments where you can do it, but not our precious America where we believe everything. And look, hey, when the fix is on for certain ways, when you fix things, you got to accept it when things are fixed against you. If you believe it's like that, look, you got this election by illegal means. Now, when it's done to you, you can't take it. If that's the case, you just got to, everybody has their time in the barrel, like my dad used to say. So, hey, you done screwed a lot of people. It's your turn to get screwed if that's the case. It's not the case, but what makes you work better than the people that you screwed over? Now's your time to get screwed. Nah, you got to take it, bro.
To bring it to a sports analogy that we talked about in the past, this is like 4 years ago. If y'all remember, Aisha Curry tweeted out during the 2016 NBA Finals, she said, "OMG, I can't believe the NBA is fixing this NBA Finals. I'm watching it before my eyes. They just want LeBron to win, blah, blah." And Tyrone is the same point we made. Well, if they fix it in 2016, they fix it in 2015 when your husband won. It can't be my husband's championship is valid and LeBron's is invalid. Either yours was fixed and his was fixed, or yours was real and his was real. Okay.
Yep.
Either election was fixed, was valid in 2016 when Trump was in office, or it's fixed in 2020, or it's valid in 2020. It can't be either or. It's got to be both. And I'm sitting there watching news with my wife, and as they're ratifying the vote, validating the vote rather, as supposed to be a mere formality before these terrorists came in office. And I saw Lindsey Graham, and I wanted to get mad as soon as I saw him. Okay, because he's been, and I'm not going to say the word here, but this man here, as soon as I saw him, you know what I mean, on TV, because he's been Trump's lapdog for so long. You know what I mean?
The flopper.
And so, just his lapdog the whole time. So when I saw him, I wanted to get angry, but then as I listened to him, I couldn't believe I found myself agreeing with Lindsey Graham. I couldn't believe it. That's when I looked, I said, 2021 is something else. I'm agreeing with Lindsey Graham within 8 days of 2021. But he said, you tell me I heard 80,000 felons voted. Show me one vote where the convicted felon vote. No one showed me anything. You told me 20,000 dead people voted. I asked to see one ballot. You can't produce one ballot. You told me that they brought in ballot boxes, illegal ballot boxes. I asked you to show me the proof of the illegal ballot box. You couldn't do it. So all this, I heard stuff. I heard is not fact. Okay? So all of this I heard, that does not pass the criminal the burden of proof for an election.
You ever watch Survivor?
Yeah, so I watched Survivor.
Okay. How many alliances stay?
Not many.
And how many alliances? Yeah. You got to break your alliance when it's time. See, Trump is out. Lindsey Graham got 2 more years or 4 more years before he got to be reelected. So you got to change those alliances. That's why you're agreeing with him, not because he feels that way. It's because he's trying to go into preservation. He's trying to survive. He's got to go. And look, anybody who ain't going to get on board, they're going to be left behind. So you're going to find a lot of people on Facebook and social media. Oh, they now back to being your friends again. Oh, I always love you. Really? No, don't like my post. Don't say nothing.
Well, guys,
what else you got?
I thank everybody for that poignant take. Let's move on. Our special guest is not in. They're trying to get in right now. Let me.
I think if we stick to the run, and we try to simplify our game plan, we'll beat these people. Defense has to show up and not try to blitz every down. If we do some cover sacks and just play a standard strong defensive line, everybody stay home, we should be okay.
Okay.
we narrowly beat these folks last time. It was what, 27-23 in overtime. We came out with the win, something like that. My question has always been, who? It's like you're playing down to your competition. If the Saints feel like they can beat Chicago or Minnesota or Rams or any of these little French teams, then we have a hard time. But if there's somebody we got to step up to, like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, man, we're going to play a heck of a game. So my question to the Saints are, do y'all fear Chicago? Because if you fear Chicago, then you're going to play them better. Or if you say, hey, this is my little brother, I could just throw him around. But your little brother can have his day too if you don't watch it, you know?
Yeah, I'm with Don. I mean, I think the guys are they're tailor made for us. Not great quarterback play. First, they have to come in a dome. So we're not playing in Chicago. We're not playing in snow. We're not playing in wind. They have to come play a fast team on turf now. You got your full complement of players. Cabrera, Michael Thomas is going to be there. Drew Brees has got warmed up, and I think they're tailor-made for us. Trubisky is not great with read and react, and we can get pressure from the front four. As Don said, you don't have to blitz all the time. You can get those coverage sacks, as y'all talked about. I think we're going to walk the dog on these people. But in the Superdome, it's going to be 75 degrees on the field, okay? There's going to be no wind in there. And so they have to come and play a fast team. The crowd environment doesn't make a difference. You're playing on our home turf, and I think they're going to get out to an early lead, and Chicago's not a team that can come from behind. Again, as long as we don't go Sean Payton outsmart himself, and as you said, playing down to the competition, and we start doing, the sweep to Tommy Lee, back to Taysom Hill, back to the mascot, those type of plays. As long as you with straight up football, I think it's tailor-made for us.
We have to move with a sense of urgency, though. I agree with Todd. Don't play down to your competition. Move with a sense of urgency and grind out those. Take their heart with the first quarter. Mm-hmm. Let them try to come from behind to beat you, and then let your defense punish them, and then take their heart early. Don't play around with them. This is the playoffs.
I want to take a page out of Don's book for whatever Don does. We need buku offense. And I'll tell you why. We need offense because tight games, the referees has been known to cheat the Saints out of stuff. So we don't need any tight games. Blow these suckers out. So when the referees start doing their cheating, it's not going to matter. So I need Don's mentality on this. Give me offense, bro.
And also that you don't risk injury. Get them out of there quick so you don't be going into some shootout late in the fourth quarter, and your quarterback, who's already hobbled and old as cheese, gets hit again. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
wow.
So
I think what Don said 2 episodes ago, where Drew Brees starting with the Kansas City game was the smartest thing in the world, because if you would have saved him for the playoffs, look how much rust that he had with Kansas City, which we should have won that game and almost did come back and win that game. But Drew Brees is a much better quarterback now than he was 3 games ago, just because he made that start and knocked off that rust and took his first hit. So I can imagine going into this game, if this was his first time back, I'd be very nervous for the Saints myself.
I got to say, I was part of the camp that said, don't play him in Kansas City.
Yes, you were.
The risk was too great. And so the gamble paid off. He looked horrible for the first half, getting the rust off, but then they came alive in the second half. So that gamble did pay dividends for the Saints as he's more and more got comfortable with the offense, and getting that rust off early did prove to be the right decision.
Like I said, gentlemen, you have to decide which horse you're going to ride into the Super Bowl. And we all knew at that time Taysom Hill wasn't that horse. He was a placeholder, and he's back to doing what he does now, the slashing, the running behind the O-line through different A-gaps. So now you gotta make sure that Drew Brees is back to his true form, so that he can perform for you going down the stretch. And again, as we're saying, let's not get cute with it, Sean Payton. Go in there with a game plan that's going to knock the socks off these Bears and get them out of there quick, like we did Arizona in the Super Bowl year. Went in there and handled business. Came out there with the bat. and took care of business. That's how we have to have that same mentality. Come out with the bat, get them out of there. Hit your home run.
And to take that Taysom Hill metaphor, when you say ride Taysom Hill, if you ride him, you know that horse is going to the right every single time. You can't make that horse go left. This horse only goes right, people. Okay.
I go to the right too behind a couple of them big blockers. I'm not going to even lie to you. If the hole opened up on the right-hand side, I'm going to follow that big hole, wherever it opens up at.
Wait, bro, if it don't matter with him, if no hole open up, he running to the right. It don't matter who's out there. This man's running to the right every single time.
What do y'all think about the defense situation? I mean, on Chicago, you got Khalil Mack, who is just like on it. But on our side, we're missing what's his name on defense, the defensive end, who got a neck
Henderson.
problem. Yes.
Trey Henderson.
Yeah. What do y'all think about that? Is that a problem for us defensively?
I mean, a great player is always going to cause problems. Khalil Mack, those guys are always going to cause problems. But the way you get those is you just got to dedicate a guy over there. Latavius Murray, you on blocking duty to help out. I mean, you have dedicated. Great players always going to make plays, and you're always concerned about guys like that. The Aaron Donalds of the world, the Khalil Macks of the world, the Deion Sanders of the world. They're going to cause problems. But you game plan for them, you put that in contingency, and you help. You don't try to play a guy like that one-on-one, and you get him with the play action. Because the best thing I can tell you, we talk about the offensive side of the ball, is a person who prides themselves in defense. The worst thing you could do for a defensive player is make him think. And if a defensive player can just react on you, you're at their mercy all day. But if you hit them with that play action where they think you're going to run and pass, and you go all out to the pass, and they hit you with a draw play or so, and they hit you with a play action, then now you become the puppet at the mercy of the offensive play when they catch you with about 2 or 3 things. So setting up the run is key with Khalil Mack, okay? And not coming out passing 40, 50 times a game, but setting up the run to make him honest. Because if you can allow that dog to just rush Drew Brees, you in for a long night. So setting him on his heels and say, I can't rush the passer like this all the time is going to be key.
On the defensive side of the ball, to further answer Ty's question about our defense and missing Trey Hendrickson, as long as Cam Jordan is commanding a double team, we have the ability for other players to step up. And thankfully, you know, what's been said about the Saints and what we witnessed is we do have some depth when it comes to defense. And so it's been showing up week after week. So if we can continue to show up, the depth of our bench continues to show up, we'll have more people with sacks. Hopefully we get Davenport. A spark will come from Marcus Davenport, and he'll get him a couple sacks. And then we have a couple of those other guys that's in the middle, you know, that really ball hawk that can come in and they can get hungry, like Onamayu. I can't think of his his first name, but he's pretty good bull rusher too. So we need to get those defensive linemen ready to attack this week.
All right. Any upsets y'all have in the playoffs this week?
Let me see.
Man, I'm just scared about that Tennessee Baltimore game. And then you look at Indianapolis, the Colts. Who are the Colts playing?
Colts at Buffalo. Buffalo. It's going to be a big game. Oh, yes.
Stephon Diggs is out. Stephon Diggs is out. And
for the Bills?
For the Bills. And the other receiver, the one they got from Dallas. He used to be a Clemson player. Fast, speedy, white cat. He's out.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, that's crucial.
Yeah.
I think Rams going to struggle today. I really believe. Well, I guess Rams is at 340. Yeah, I think Rams. Wolford wasn't bad, but
Goff been taking snaps. He had surgery on his thumb, and he was throwing the ball yesterday.
Yeah, they're not gonna play him. I think he's gonna be inactive. I'm serious. I think he's gonna be inactive.
I'm gonna tell you the person's gonna be the most surprised. Tom Brady gonna find out this ain't the AFC East no more. Playing in the NFC, he gonna find that out quick, fast.
No. He's gonna be all right. Chase Daniels should have never called him out. They're gonna throw so much stuff at Chase Daniels that is because he said he wanted Tom Brady, and you don't stoke a fire for somebody like that. And the coach said, "Hey man," Bruce Arians was like, "I wouldn't call him out if I were you like that," you know.
I really believe Tampa is gonna walk the dog on Washington. I really believe their defense has come alive on certain people that we never felt they would. For example, Green Bay. The defense came alive on Green Bay this year.
Since we all quoting Dad, I'm gonna quote him too. You might be Washington, and we always used to say all the time. Now what? Now,
well, you
I would
asked
rather
for
them face
upsets.
Green Bay that they beat before. I would rather them go against Green Bay because that's what they have next.
Yeah, but this is
knock
where
them off.
This is
So
where
you ask what the upset is.
When you beat Washington, this is where it stops because you ain't beating the Saints, you ain't beating the Green Bay in the playoffs, going up to Green Bay in the snow. You ain't going up there and beating them in Lambeau.
No, you're not.
Dave,
but
I wouldn't put that past him. I would not put it past him.
Only
Green
one
Bay
person's
was coming
going
in
up
with
to
a
Lambeau.
lot of confidence
Michael
against
Vick.
the Tampa Bay. Huh? What he said?
Only one person's going up to Lambeau and won, and that's Michael Vick.
Okay, you got what's considered the GOAT of all quarterbacks going to Green Bay against their top quarterback. Who wouldn't want to see that matchup?
What we did to the GOAT twice this year in the Saints.
Hey, we're not talking about the Saints. We're talking about Tampa versus Green Bay. And we're talking about Green Bay coming in as an overconfident number one seed, looking at a team that's coming fresh off of a win. If they put something on Washington today, that's going to be a matchup. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Tampa go in there. Yeah,
and Tom Brady has played in the cold. Tom Brady has played in the cold before.
Honestly,
he's played in the cold before.
Out of here.
He's played in the cold before, Tom Brady.
I don't agree, Dave. I think we could very well see a Saints versus Tampa matchup.
Oh, I'd love to see it.
For all the marbles.
I think it could be
a reality.
Yeah. I'd love for them to knock off Green Bay, you know?
That's right. And now we got to do our job now and knock off Seattle if they beat the Rams.
I want Seattle too. I got so many family members I got to get back because they dogged me out the last time I went out to Seattle for that foolishness. So
right. But we got to get past this first opponent. Show me my opponent, Chicago Bears. They're first.
Hey, shifting gears real quick, and I know we got to run. Did y'all watch the Warriors play against the Clippers last night?
I did.
I saw snippets.
Yeah. What do y'all think about the Clippers? Were up almost 20 points in that game, and they let a ragtag team find themselves that night, bro, which is crazy.
Here's my statement on that. Where's this alleged defense from the Clippers that everybody keeps talking about? They got this tremendous wing defense. When Curry put 18 on you in the fourth quarter or something like that in that game.
Yeah, he ended up 38 points in the whole game.
Defenders are elite. I haven't seen it yet. These are people. Wing defenders that are elite don't allow a guy to put 18 on you in the fourth quarter. A wing defender that's elite don't allow Jamal Murray to come in on one leg and put 42 on you for 3 games in a row.
It's the way they did it, though.
Defense.
So what happened was they thought that Steph Curry was the only person on the team. And they started just triple team him at some points. And then that's when the Golden State Warriors had an epiphany. They were like, oh, we got to share the ball. Pascal stepped up because they put Zubac on him, and Zubac could not stay with him. Now, Serge Ibaka was having a great game, but their heart was not there. They let Golden State get hot and took their heart. Paul George was having a great game, and Kawhi was doing decently, but they did not play with much heart at all, bro, at all. And if you allow Steph Curry to get any kind of confidence, bro, it's over with. And that's just what happened, bro.
To quote Shannon Sharp, Ibaka, Chewbacca, Waka Flocka.
It was one of the best quotes ever right there, bro.
Where's the D? Remember that commercial? Where's the beef? You remember that old commercial?
Yeah.
Where's the defense? For a team that's supposed to have elite defenders, they allow a lot of fourth quarter comebacks, don't they? When the last time y'all seen the Detroit Bad Boys allow a fourth quarter comeback? When the last time y'all seen the 97 Bulls with Rodman, Harper, Jordan, and Pippen allow a fourth quarter comeback?
Now, y'all might not like what I'm about to say.
Go ahead, Don.
You might not like what I'm about to say.
Go ahead.
But if you see that happen, that's coaching. That's either a lack of rotation and a lack of resting your players and then structuring your end game. That's coaching.
Well,
when you see that happen, that's coaching.
Ty, I agree with you. I was going to say Doc Rivers might not be that bad. Yeah, they put everything on Doc Rivers, but Ty Lue has admittedly in practice pitted Kawhi Leonard and Paul George against each other in practice. He will have one squad and Paul George will have another squad. But I thought they said they didn't have a lot of time playing together. They said together, not opposite each other. So I mean, they may work things out, but I don't know.
D.
I got to say this to Ty's point real quick and let Dave get in. Now, you playing them against each other. What does that tell you to me that you're seeing as a head coach that maybe they do lack fire and heart?
Yes.
If you're playing them against each other. So
yes.
you're trying to stoke that fire. You're trying to bring that heart, that mentality to the game that they didn't have previously because maybe they just thought they would overwhelm people with their natural talent. And Ty Lue is trying to show them, hey, man, you all got to bring your A game and bring your fire every game. We're playing against grown men in an NBA that's just as athletic as you. You're not going to bring something special to the table every night. You got to bring your heart. You got to bring the grit.
I agree wholeheartedly with Don said. He's playing off each other because they tend to vittles. If you had two guys who really knew who was really tough, you wouldn't have to play them against each other. But you got to say, hey, bro, you got to bring out the best in him, and he got to bring out the best in you. And with that, when you pit the guys against each other, you're showing that they tender inside is what they're showing. They're little buttercup, and that's the doggone problem. What is going on with them? Normally, I would agree with you, Don. That's coaching. Is coaching both times. Doc Rivers is championship Hall of Fame Coach of the Year coach. Ty Lue, NBA champ. It's coaching both times. It's them.
I didn't blame. Notice I didn't blame Doc Rivers.
Right.
We talked about the situation against Curry now. We talking about blowing a 20-point lead. That's coaching.
So Tyronn Lue's the coach, and you blow a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter or third quarter with a fourth quarter against Golden State Warriors. Okay. Doc Rivers is the coach, and you blow a 3-1 lead and several fourth quarter collapses with Doc Rivers. At what point is going to turn on the players as tenderhearted? Doc Rivers said, this is the most emotionally fragile team I have ever coached in my entire life. At what point, how many more coaches you going to bring in there? You going to bring D'Antoni in there next? You going to bring Popovich in there next before we switch the dial? You remember that cartoon where they had the Wile E. Coyote had to jump when he was trying to get the rabbit or whatever, okay, the road runner, and Bugs Bunny rode on that coyote and he finally switched it over and it got back to the coyote? At what point is the dial going to switch on them?
Well, look, you see Harden is learning it and Westbrook is learning it. Westbrook went in there and Bradley Beal had 60 points the game before, 41 the second game, and both were losses. Now you see Houston where James Harden is being quiet, not supposed to be there, nobody's trading for him, and they're winning.
Right.
They won 100 and something. They were winning 82 to like 41 in the first half. And Harden wasn't the leading scorer. That new cat they have, 22 points, was leading them. And Wall had a great game. And they're winning with Silas. Now, I like what you said last time, Dave, where why don't you give this guy Silas a chance? He's been an assistant for everywhere he's been, and he's been doing a great job. And you can see that his system is starting to work. Now, we're not hearing anything out of James Harden.
Right.
But they're winning. They're 3-4, where Washington has Russell Westbrook, supposed to be the difference maker. You lose John Wall, and they're 2-7. They only won 2 games.
Right.
And that's with Bradley Beal getting 60 points and 41 points back to back. That's 101 points in 2 games. That's incredible. And you lose?
One dude scored a whole game score in 2 games. One guy
right.
a whole game score.
Right.
Mm-mm. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all time today. We had a good episode. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. We will catch y'all up back to our regularly scheduled time next week. Look out for the playoffs. And as always, don't forget to shoot the J, and we'll see y'all next week.
Shout out to the Duck.
Shout out to the Duck. We're going to put our in memoriam tribute at the end. And we'll see y'all next time.
All right.
Later.
Later.